So in this video, what we will try to learn is we will create a text field, and in the text field we'll enter a number, okay, some number, and we will have a submit button, right? Submit button. We'll call this text field, let's say text age, for example. We'll call that, and when the user clicks this button, and we will have a message box indicating the age, right? So we are this message box is like a dialog box to just show the message. We will try to program all this, and so that's what the idea behind this video. It's a simple text field, a submit button, and a message box. And we will one of the things that we will learn also, for example, this text field that we constantly referring is a class, right? It's a class in object-oriented programming. So this text field is a class, and we instantiate this particular text field. This becomes an object. Okay, it's an object. So but name text age is a name that we give, and so this text field name becomes an object. It's a real object. So like we learned before, this is a cookie cutter. Cookie cutter doesn't, it only makes cookies, and the cookies is the object, the real object, right? So we are going to learn all that in this particular video. So let's get on to it. I have going to create a new I don't know if you can see it, a new window forms app, and I'm going to give a name, text field demo, text field demo, right? That's a very simple demo that we have. Okay, we'll not, this is an old project, not to worry about it. So we are creating a new project, and so we have a form. As you could see, we have the entire Visual Studio, and this controls that you see here, each one of them is a class. Okay, each one is a class, and the text field. So text field is a class. When you drag this and place it here, it becomes an object. This is an object. So objects has properties, and so the name that we give to this particular object, and through that name only we refer to that object all the time. So that's listed here. If you scroll up, see the name. So its default is text box 1. So we are going to name it as lowercase txt age. So that is the name we give to this object. So that is how, let's go back here. So that is the name, and it has several properties. That if you see, that it has several properties, right? And the location, for example, the maximum length is, so we can restrain the maximum length to say, for age is 3 characters, so we can just simply say 3. So you cannot type more than 3 letters, right? So that is the maximum age is a property or is a status, whatever name you give. All right. and this also a size, and in case if it becomes a password, some you can use a password character, but right now we are not dealing with that. Read only is means you cannot, if it's set to false, that means it's you can write also, but if you set this to true, you cannot type anything there. So we'll see those demos slowly. Okay, right now we have an object, all right, and we're going to create a button. Let's see, create a button. Again, like I said, this is a class that you see, and these are the properties for that, which is highlighted here. There are properties for that object. So we're going to drag here. So now this class instantiates an object, right? And this is the name, button is the what you see is the property. So we can going to say submit, and the name is not given yet, so we need to go up here, and the actual name for that button is this. So we need to change that to btn. Btn is the prefix we normally give to button, and submit. It's a submit, right? So that's the name we give to the button, and the text is what you, for buttons have a text that you give it here, all right? And the size is also a state for that button. You can change the size to anything you want. I can change the y coordinate to be 30 also, all right? Oh, that's wrong. That's become too big. It's not 230, just 223. So you have several, and then we are, so now we have a text field, a button. So we are going to first do the simple, now we can give a property to this button. That means when you click on this button, right now if you execute it using a start, you may not see the whole thing, so I'm going to just put here. If you execute, if you see a start without debugging, and it'll launch an application. This is the application. Since we didn't program anything, whatever you type, 34, whatever, see, I cannot type more than 3 letters. You see that? And if you submit, nothing really happens because we didn't program any of it. We are going to do that now, all right? So let's go back. So if you double click that, you will be given a actual. So when this is basically event management, or what happens when you click on the button, this particular function gets executed, and we are going to code that, right? Do not worry about what is inside now, all these things for now. Don't worry about all this. So we'll just go ahead, and so the object that what we are trying to do is we are going to go back and show this message box when user clicks types 34 and clicks the button. That's the only thing user is going to do, right? So here message box is the function show, and here we can do this here, right? So dim is the definition for a variable, age as byte. I'm going to create a byte, and so we need to assign a value to the age. So now the value the user types in this text field, the value that the user types here can be retrieved using txt. Age is the name of the text field, dot text is the property or the status, so you get that. All right, so that's very simple, and we are going to take age and show it here. You entered your age as ampersand. This is concatenation of strings. we need to convert age to a string. The way it does in Visual Basic is age dot to string. This is a byte, a numeric value, and we are taking that, converting to a string. So now we have two strings. You entered your age as, it's a string because it is enclosed in double parenthesis, and we are concatenating with ampersand and the age. All right, so we are now go ahead and execute the program application again. You can either go here and do it, or you can simply start that too if there are no compilation errors. So we have a application that's running. It takes time, I think. This is the first time it takes time. Okay, here it is. So here I'm going to type 34, right? And I'm going to press submit. You entered your age as 34. You see that? So whatever you typed is in a message box. This message box can be moved around. So you have to close this and kill that. See, this is a simple application where whatever user has typed, you can retrieve that using the text property, right? And this is same thing for label also. For example, for labels also you can do the same thing. For example, I can create a label. Let's say I'm going to create a label here. So this is in addition to what we instead of this message box, what we are going to do is we are going to create a label. And in the label we are going to print this text. We're going to create a label, and if you see there are properties very similar to a text field and the label. Okay, so let's go get on with it. So label is somewhere here. If you see, there's a label. So I'm going to drag here. I'm going to leave it at of course the label one is you can say your age is okay. So you'll see the label has that, and I go up and I need to name it, right? Remember, we need to give a name to all the things. Label should be LBL age or print age, for example. Show age. So that is the name. So what I'm going to do is, when the user types something and clicks in the submit, this label will display that as your ages, right? So let's get on to it. So go back to the Visual Studio, and here instead of message box, you can comment that out using a simple single quote, right? So here we have the label show age dot text. So labels and text fields have very identical way of programming, and here we need to set this guy. I'm cutting and pasting. Okay, here it says txt, sorry, they have identical. So what I'm doing is setting the text for the label using the name. So this is an object, this is the state, and I programming as you entered your age as same thing as what we did, set, right? So this text is will always take a string. That's why we are trying to do this. So let's go ahead and compile and run it. So here if you say 54, you say you entered your age as 54. So you can 12. you entered your age. So this is two ways of showing to the user that we saw so far. One is a message box, right? So, and other one is the using a label mechanism. So you can use either of them, but some homeworks that we will do, we may either use the message box or we may use a label, right? So you need to understand how this works, right? So that's the basically we started this video trying to understand how text fields work, and you can also set some of the stuff in a programmatically. For example, if I go here, this is a text field, and we set the text field here. Where is it? The maximum length, right? You can set the maximum length to 4 also using programmingly. So we will do that later for now, but whatever you do here in this property, setting the properties for an object, you can also do programmatically in this Visual Basic script file. For example, I can set text field, the number of characters in the form when the form is loaded, right? So if I double click here, the same form load, I can say text message dot maximum length equal to, instead of 3, I can simply say probably 4, you know, I can set that up too. So now if you compile it, so if now I can type 4 letters, see that 1, 2, 3, 4. Previously I could do only 3. So I can, that's because our byte can only take 255 values. Because we entered more than 255, it crashed. It's a good learning experience, right? Good learning experience. So let's not type more than 3. If you want, I want to show it again. Let me see here. Here, if you type 260 also, it's going to crash. See, it's going to crash because byte can only take data type can only take 255 values, right? If you don't trust me, I'll do it one more time. If I assign 255, it'll run. But if I assign 256, it'll crash. See that? It's going to crash. I told you. So if you want to avoid it, you need to convert this into short. Then you are fine. You can enter any, right? So let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll work because the short can take more values. Anyway, so that is the things that we started doing it. Again, we can do all this, set the maximum length, read only, all the properties for the text field programmatically. But anyway, going back to the video that we talked, so we have text field, we demonstrated a label, we demonstrated button, right? And we used to program to retrieve the values from the text field. We are able to set that in a label. We are able to program the properties of what happens when we click on the submit button, and we are able to use a message box. So we did a lot in this video. So try to learn and replicate this by yourself. It will be a good experience. Thank you.